Welcome in Line by Line. Today I'm very honored to have a new guest, Andrew Algra. And Andrew is a YouTuber, but also has a website. Please check it out. I will provide all the links below. So Andrew, tell me a little bit about the song you chose, Stålfågel, which means steel bird in Swedish, by SOILWORK.
Yeah. I was going through Spotify Wrapped the other day, and I noticed that this was my most played song of the year. And when I thought about it, it was the only song that I would look for to play that wasn't in a playlist. I would just listen to it by itself. And I felt like every time I listened to it, I just got a little bit more. And I think that they hit on some really important ideas for life and systems. And I really enjoy it. I like hard music. I like metal, but I have a hard time finding songs with that kind of energy and that kind of drive that also speak a lot of truth, or at least something that I can really connect to and embrace. So this is an example of that.
Thank you. I heard it for the first time, and I really love those lyrics. And also the video. Guys, check out the video. I will provide a link below as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the video's fun. I think it's on theme. I didn't watch it until very recently. And I was a little surprised by the style, but it fits with that idea of having a system and a system breaking and regeneration. So
yeah.
What did you think of the song? Like, what did you get out of it?
So first of all, the video, it felt to me like there was oppression. One nation oppressed the other, and the other nation retaliated somehow. But it had a lot of symbolism. There was a volcano, there were clouds, very enlightened beings, everything. It had its arc. And like the video had so much body language in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like alien and the humanoid lady exchanging eyes. Like you could, even though it was animated, you kind of see she was like, I'm not done yet, somehow, that thing. It's interesting how in those like 2D animation you can put in so much emotion, and it's amazing.
Yeah the style is very simple, but the expression is very direct, and it kind of condenses all of the characters' intent into one movement, right? So it really conveys the narrative that way. Yeah, I thought it was well done. Now, did you hear the sound ascending from the ground? This is the opening lines of the song. The first time I heard the song, I had a picture in my head immediately of people crying out, because this to me is very biblical imagery. This took me right into the story of Exodus. And the first time you hear a sound rising from the ground in scripture, it's the blood of Abel crying out against his murder, right? So that's like the people making bricks. They're crushing clay in with the straw. So the people are in a pit and they're covered in the earth. So they're blending in with the earth, right? And they're crying out from their oppression. And so it's like the sound is like the blood of Abel from his oppression coming up out of the earth, right? Where the people are in the earth and they're being pressed down. And then you have this call that's rising up.
Oh, wow. I've seen it a little bit like same, but the sound from the ground, this means they're looking up and crying to somebody who is on top. Mm-hmm. So to me, I focused on where the sound was directed, and then who is asking that question. Now, did you hear the sound ascending from the ground? And like, in the funny way, it was like a mom of God was like, whoever was like, did you hear? There is people on the ground crying for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear? Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my projection.
Yeah. Your kids are crying. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like very down to earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it continues, a prayer from those who stayed or died along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it carries some of the same idea with it, like the dead in the ground. Like that idea made me think of the saints under the throne protesting their execution in Revelation. But there's this idea that they haven't been heard, or that they're left behind, in a sense, that they're stuck.
Mm-hmm. I actually also see it this way, like those who stayed or died along the way, they are stuck and immobilized and on the ground, and yet the prayer is directed somewhere.
Yeah, it's going up. It's pointing at something that, but it's like they can't connect to me, because it's questioning whether they heard, right? And so they're calling up to something, and it's like there's this question of, will there be a response or not? Like, how does it resolve?
What place the narrator is in here? How do you think? So who is asking the question? Is the person on the ground, or is it on the top with somebody the prayer is directed to? What do you think?
I want to think that they're in the ground, or they're more connected, or they're sympathizing with the people in that state. I don't think that the perspective doesn't seem to me like they're in the place of the answer.
Oh. Yeah.
That they're in the place of the question.
But yet the person who asks, he is kind of separate.
Yeah, it seems like he's not subject in the way that because he's separating himself from those who stayed or died along the way. Mm-hmm. So he's like more intermediate somehow, or adjacent. Yeah. We trust the trembling air to take us anywhere, transcending gravity and hoping that we'll be set free.
He's one of them, actually.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But now I think it's different, because now they're moving. And so he joins them in the motion. Because it's taking them away now. They called out, and now the call, like that's the trembling air.
Yeah.
And that call is what is carrying them out of the thing that they were stuck in. I thought of Moses because I was in this Exodus motif, right? And Moses, in that case, is the trembling means of delivery, because he's not confident, and he doesn't see himself as able, but he's the one that separates the people from from being stuck, I guess, in the ground.
Yeah. Also the trust. I can picture Moses as well, because people trusted him, yet he was unsure. He did not know, like, really, like, he just knew the destination but not the path
Right.
yet. And people trust. So in here, maybe there are three groups of, like, there are three already. See, somebody on top, somebody who stayed or died along the way, and then there is a third group which is moving. And the person who asks is among the people who are moving, and they're following this Moses, let's say, type of, or that idea that knows the destination but doesn't know the way yet.
Yeah.
To take us anywhere.
I think you're right about the three groups are right, but I agree, because some people stay stuck, some people are at the goal, and then some people are traveling between.
And
in life, kind of.
Yeah. It's like the different stages.
So this is about transition. It's about shifting from one state to the other state. And there's this aspiration, this idea that things are going to be better, but they don't know how. And so they're trusting, they're letting go and allowing whatever is coming to come.
In the video, there was a group of aliens and humans brought into a plane, which was this steel bird. The oppressor were the machines, kind of robotic beings, kind of steel entities.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the machines decided to throw away the humans into the air, and the humans were caught by those steel clouds somehow. So the clouds were made by rotating ventilators, and it's nicely aligned with take us anywhere, transcending gravity. So they're falling, and yet there was always this plan somehow. And the trust is the thing, actually. I really like that idea that we don't know where we are falling to. We can trust that it will take us to that place.
Yeah, because they don't want to stay in the plane, right? Because their hands are bound. Yeah. And so before they leave the plane, and they don't have, it's not clear that they're aiming, they're just leaving.
Yeah, right? I actually thought they were throwing out. Just
like,
you're not going like with us. Yeah, and they were like, they had like, there was this idea of prison because they wore orange, and their hands were immobilized in those kind of steel spheres.
Yeah.
Hoping that we will be set free.
Right.
Transcending gravity. Transcending gravity.
Yeah. So they're getting, so the call where they were coming out of the earth, right? From being embedded in the earth. Now they're not embedded in the earth anymore. So whatever was holding them, they've been let go from that thing.
You listen to that song many times.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what are your favorite lines in here?
Yeah. I think the first two lines, so the sound ascending from the ground, And then I really like the chorus, actually. Unbound instantly, airborne aimlessly, we drift towards the darkness of our heavens. Because this, whatever it is, this system, these inhuman rules, this lack of care that has been confining and oppressing the potential that wants to be released. It's not letting it out. It's not letting it express. And then there's a crack, right? There's this, the cage isn't actually strong enough to keep these people in. They can't have all the, they have to get rid of some of the people in the ship that they're carrying, right? So they throw them out. And then that leak, that is where the potential finds its expression. And that's where life begins to multiply again. And so once the people are separated from the brick making, then they can move and they're unbound, right? And there's this instant where they transition from prisoner to agency and being born in the air, right? Now their spirit that is contextualizing them instead of just stuff, right? So you have this spiritual kind of development that is the beginning of the next stage of transcendence.
Darkness of heavens.
Yeah.
When I thought of it, we are imagining heaven, but the darkness represents we actually don't know, so we are in the dark about the actual heavens.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah, because that's like back to the trust, right? Because you can't see what you will be until you become that thing. You can look at someone from the outside who's like that and you can guess what it's like, but until you live that life, it's a dream, right? It's not something that you can be very definite about. And so they're reaching towards something and they're letting go of where they were to be where they're going. But there's this shroud that they have to pass through before they can be in that new place. And so when that's the glory of God, right? When Moses goes up the mountain, first he has to pass through the cloud. And so the cloud is hiding the glory of God from all of the people. And so there's darkness that surrounds the light of the throne, right? And until you pass through the darkness, then you cannot be present in the light. And so they're drifting towards the darkness of heaven and they're preparing to pass through. That's how I see that.
Okay. To me, darkness is potential. It's not yet expressed. The moment you get something out of the darkness into the realm of light, it has a shape, form, texture, it's expressed. In the darkness, you don't yet know. And right. This big unknown thing.
Yeah.
So they don't know heaven yet.
Yeah.
They just aim towards it. They drift. So like
drift, yeah.
It implies, like the way I understand it, kind of free fall because they don't have control. It's this way, and the only thing is trust.
Yeah.
Trust for the freedom.
Yeah.
The hoping that we will be set free.
Yeah, because they're aimless. Because of the darkness. Because they can't aim at the thing because it's in the darkness. So they can only go in a direction, but they can't refine it, right? So when they were in the ground, they were stuck in one place and they said, we just want to be able to move, right? And now they have the opposite problem because all they have is motion, but they don't have any place. So you have the resolution becomes its own problem, and then the ultimate resolution is going to be bringing those things back together, right? And then in the video, like you see them building their own ship.
Yeah.
So the ship is an expression of the people rather than a container for the people.
Yeah. And also agency. They already had this agency. They had a plan before that they were falling, and then they build it. Airbourne. Trust. If you fall with the trust.
Yeah, the video shows them falling. But when I listen to the song, I think of them like going up.
Yeah.
When I saw them falling in the video, I thought they should should almost pop up like a balloon when they go out of the ship. But
yeah, that's also implied in the meaning of transcending gravity.
Yeah, because they're transcending. So transcending is a going up, and then towards heaven. So that's going up. They're born on the air. So the air is carrying them. So there's this kind of sense of, vertical motion, like upwards motion here, I think.
It also makes me think about acceptance. Mm-hmm. We don't know what comes tomorrow. I think the only thing I have is basically trust that it will be okay. When I'm scared for my loved ones, if they're in dangerous kind of environment, I can only trust, because like every next day is a free fall somehow, especially now in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have another option because you don't have leverage. In the when they're stuck in the ground, they have leverage, right? Because they can you move against the ground, but when you're being blown, you have nothing to push against. So the resolution to the first problem is resistance. You push against the thing and break out. And then the resolution to the problem of being carried around is trust. You allow the carrying to resolve.
I wonder, is trust related to grounding as a person? Like imagine like when people say somebody is up in the air all the time in his mind, not on this earth. And
I think it allows grounding. In a way, yeah. Because if you're not trusting, then you're guarding, and then you're not connecting, and a ground is a connection.
Yeah.
For a resolution, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm thinking about ways of connecting as well. But like we are connected through the air, but we also connected through earth. It's two modes of being connected to people.
You connect, that's like connecting through words and connecting through heart, right?
Yeah. The second part of the chorus, it repeats a bit. Yeah. Unbound instantly, airborne aimlessly, we drift apart to finally fade away. That's glooming a little bit. Like.
Yeah, I think it's describing death. Which can be gloomy.
Yeah.
Right. But there's this, that's transcendence requires it. Right? Because you cannot inhabit a new identity without abandoning the old identity. So Christ says you have to be born again. It says you have to die to yourself. Right? So these in order to pass into the new environment, the people have to embody a new identity. And that means that the concept they have of themselves is dissolving, right? It has to do with when they were in the ground, it was not good, right? And then now they're in the air and that's not good. And so there's something wrong and that has to be abandoned before something right can take its place. So there's this kind of acceptance of death that leads to the resurrection. And yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, it's very interesting. Accepting that the old shell has to go because it's not working out. The ground thing didn't work out. Aimlessly in the air doesn't work out. We are fading away. So there is some sort of transformation happening here.
Mm-hmm. And I think the word finally is calling back a bit to the trust idea, because it's being accepted, it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Drift apart to finally fade away.
And it's this kind of gloomy idea, like the thing is going away, it's going to be gone, we don't have it anymore. But the tone of the music and the way the line is sung feels relieving. Like there's this kind of relief in it. And I think that the mixture of that regret and relief, I think that's part of what makes the course feel so satisfying to me.
Yeah, like I zoom into relationships somehow. If talking about a relationship that was aimless, and then at some point people just drift apart because there was no common aim together, and finally they're just away from each other, which is also kind of sad.
Yeah, but then you get the new life after, because now you have the space in your life for something that shares your aim.
Oh.
Right. And that's the transcendent step. Yeah. And that's the next line, right? I'm whispering your name, a memory set to flame, like all I left behind, becoming someone else this time.
Exactly.
So there's a resolution now. He's coming back together and he's discovered relationship. And the fire that is motivating this relationship is the same fire that burned away his old life.
Oh.
Right? It's like the glory of God. When we enter into relationship with God, then whatever part of us can't enter into that relationship is destroyed. But the part that can becomes all we are, and we're purified. So it's like Moses passing through the cloud of darkness, letting go of where he was to enter into a relationship, a transcendent relationship with God. But it like you said, it describes a personal relationship where something didn't work out, and now you have space in your life. You get yourself back together, and there's a person that connects with you there.
I really like that idea that you get a flame around you somehow, and that flame burns away all the remains of the previous relationship or previous shell form that you had. Really like that idea.
Yeah, a memory set to flame. Yeah.
Becoming someone else this time. So why this time? Like, is he implying next time will also happen?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
He's like,
yeah, I don't know.
Because afterwards he like repeats the same thing with the chorus, and
Right.
we drift towards the darkness of our heavens to finally fade away, away, away.
Yeah.
It's like he repeats the cycle. He expects the cycle to be repeated somehow.
Right. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's good. It's that's what sanctification is, right? Because there's the idea that in this life we never reach the state of glory that's complete. We never are perfect, right? We never become what Christ is showing us to be. But we by letting go of our sin and through repentance and following his example in righteousness, we take steps, right? And so it repeats and it unfolds in everyone's life in all these different ways, right? And I think that there's this idea where if he said becoming someone else completely, then he would become that steel bird. He would become the oppressor. He would then contain someone else and keep them stuck in his picture. So he has to always be willing to be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Always willing to transform.
Willing to let something new. Yeah.
It's like going through this, assessing the situation. If it's the ground, it's not good. If it's drifting aimlessly, it's not good. The song is about constant movement somehow, and getting new formats, like basically Phoenix song. From the ashes I will rise.
Yeah. But then
Beautiful.
to make a real thing, he has to go back to the ground again, right?
I mean,
and then he gets so it's I think like you said, it's moving. I think as long as it's moving, then it works. And it goes back and forth. And it happens again.
They implied it in the video though, that he has to go back in the ground. I was thinking where to find it in the lyrics, but it was in the video. So it was really beautifully done, how the oppressed parts, oppressed humanoids, they build their own new ship, which was not steel, it was wooden. I noticed it. And then with the wooden ship, they shot the steel one into the volcano, and volcano then had this like kind of lava coming out. And at the end, which is like, I think it was reference to Terminator. It was like the hand coming out of lava. It's like shut out Terminators. And it was good. Like they did come back to the ground, and they shot the steel bird from the sky to the ground. And it's like,
and the ground swallowed it.
Yeah
it couldn't survive on the ground. Like you said, it went into the volcano, and so the ground consumed it, the thing that it was.
Only the
and
hand was like do.
Yeah. And that's the I see the oppressor as the totalizing system, right? And the thing that cannot be included, that's the regenerative element, and it comes and it overwhelms the totalizing system to allow an organic expression of life to come up. But then, like we said, it happens again, right? Then that expression eventually is going to work out into a certain structure, and that structure is going to become its own totalizing system, and that's when the hand comes back up at the end, right? So it has to keep happening. It keeps happening.
Yeah. It's like there should be the next time. This time it's us, next time it's the metal things again.
Yeah.
Like, and okay, it was shot from the sky to the ground, and then it will start from the ground all over again.
Yeah,
it's like
it comes
the
back
story
up.
big.
Yeah, the Tower of Babel, getting built out of its bricks.
I think about those enlightened beings, which they kind of had. Those were neither humanoids nor those kind of amphibian aliens that were there.
Yeah.
They kind of looked like red Mr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like those things. Yeah. Kind of which implied telepathic skills, but also a mark, like those red circles on their heads.
Right.
I was thinking they are enlightened because they were on the ground, but also in the sky at the same time. Right. And they did not interfere. They helped those humans who crashed in, but they did not go with them. They set them free, like, now go.
Right.
So the enlightened beings actually symbolically were showing like things which are suspended, which do not play with those robot versus humans things.
Yeah. They're not involving themselves exactly. They're kind of enabling, right?
Yeah. That video is very interesting. It's like there's so many things going on.
Yeah, it's a neat video. Yeah, I think when I saw it, I was surprised by the style, but I think it does pair well with the song. So, but I don't like watching it because I like listening to the sounds and paying attention to the words and the tone, and I watch the video and it pulls my attention away from that. And I'm looking at all the things. Yeah.
Do you also have it this way, like when you read the book and then after you read the book you watch a movie and the movie is like, it's horrible. It's not like, it's absolutely not how I imagined the book to be. In my head it was so much better. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, they're totally different things, right?
Yes.
They're just different things. It's like you want the movie to be the book, but it's never going to be. It can't. Yeah. It's the movie. It's like, yeah, there's a disconnect there. And I think that between the video and the song, and then I think what you said at the end between the prisoners and the enlightened people, I think that there's a disconnect in that way as well. Like the people have to solve their own, they have to assume agency and resolve their own tension in the end, right? So.
But it was this trust. I think the enlightened aliens represented the higher power, because when the humanoids were throwing off the steel bird and free falling, but they had this trust in them somehow, because that's the only thing they had. Like those enlightened beings who somehow mastered the gravity and like they created those clouds and like transported them. Just totally interesting idea. Yeah, it does pull away from the lyrics, actually.
I think so. Yeah. Like if people want to get into the song, I'd recommend just listen to it a few times.
12 times. There was the most liked comment which said.
Is that it said? Yeah.
Yeah, the guy liked it once. For the first time he listened to it, he liked it. When he listened to it 12th time, he thought it was the greatest song ever. Yeah. Anyway, Andrew, thank you so much for having free time. That is our sponsor.
Yeah.
And people, please check out all the links I provide below. And give Andrew a follow. Just support the man everywhere. Feels all the links.
Thank you.
And bye.
Yeah, I'm talking about symbolism and the relationship between symbolism and cognitive science a little bit on my blog. And so you can follow that, or I make videos from the blog post, but they're slow in coming. You can watch those. And then I'm trying to be active on Twitter for whatever that's worth. So,
yeah. You talk about the symbolism and you're trying to discover it for yourself through your own life experiences. And I thought it was very profound. And how did you get this idea, though?
Well, it's from my faith. So I'm Messianic, right? So we basically apply a lot more of the Old Testament than most Christians. And my practice is really puts a lot of attention on application and daily application. And that was very helpful to me because I was lost in my thoughts a lot, or I lived in a world of ideas, right? And learning to apply and learning to practice and put into action, that's been the thing that I needed to bring my life forward in my relationships. So now when I'm learning new concepts, like about whatever John or Jonathan are teaching or other people, I'm looking for not just novelty, but also the way that it feeds into my action, even if it's subtle, right? Even if it's just something that makes things feel a little bit differently, if I can see or sense that there's some kind of transformation going on with the frame that's recontextualizing, it's making my actions feel different or point in a different direction, then that's enough to me. But it has to feed back through my action for me to believe that it's actually meaningful. Yeah.
It is meaningful.